Hey everybody, we are building with Blocks. Blocks by Google is a free 3D modeling program for VR that's free on Steam, and tonight we're just going to use Blocks to make a couple of simple shapes like a house and a boat and things like that, so you can see how using all of these tools together lets you build up the basis of just about any model you need. Once you've built it in Blocks, you can export it and bring it into Unity or Blender or any other major 3D modeling or animating program and use these as pieces for your other tools. Now, this is not a texturing program, simple shapes and colors, so we're going to make the basic foundations. As we went into our episodes, we've got our main controlling tools here. I'm going to start with a grid. The grid is active, so things will line up, and if I get close, you can see the little grid points around my mouse, around my controller. So here's we go. We're going to start with a simple shape. We're going to start with a cubish shape. And we're going to start nice big house. Okay. And our house will have a little entryway. Now I could use my grip tool. Since I have the grid going, you'll notice even if I move my hand, the house block tries to stay lined up with all the other pieces. So now that I've done that, let's do a slightly smaller piece. Now I'm going to go in my modify tool and grab some edges. Oops. The corners are a little out of line. Let's get this bigger so we can see it. Now let's see if I can grab you. I need to make you, whoops. I'll make you bigger. Okay. I'll grab you and make you smaller. See, it goes a little bit smaller at a time. Fit him under here. A little too small. There we go. I'll grab you, sink him in a little bit, bring him down a little bit. Okay. Now with this grip tool, I can then grab all these pieces and group them. So now when I grab one piece of it, I grab all the pieces of it. Okay, let's add a roof. So we're going to shrink this down. Grab another rectangle, might as well. Modify tool and grab these edges. Now grab it and set it in place. I'm even going to grab this top plane, push it down. Use my grab tool, grab it. It's still not quite lined up right. Oops. Want you a little bigger. There we go. That's a little better. House. And I can go with a modify tool if I want to grab edges, bring them in a little closer. Oops, don't raise them up too much. That's sunk in a little bit. Grab this edge, pull it in a little bit. There we go. So it's a matter of grabbing shapes, getting them roughly the size and shape you want. A little too big. There we go. Let's get them better centered. There we go. Cupola roof. I like the steep Victorian roofs here. Oops. Don't forget you have your undo feature if you make a mistake. Okay. Not quite center, okay. Grab that edge. Bring it in a little bit. There we go. So as you can see, it's just a matter of going in, fine-tuning. Let's grab that whole pair of things, largen them up, settle them down into the house a little more. There we go. Now we're going to grab all these pieces and group them. So even if I turn off the grid, this whole thing comes as one piece. This is especially important when you start doing things like trying to scale it for different pieces. The whole thing scales together. You don't have to scale each separate one. So we've got all these tools here. Let's shrink things down a little bit. And it's just a matter of going in with the tools to get more details. Now maybe I'll use the subdivide tool. And I'll go in here to add windows. You can see how the lines show up, allowing me to set up and chop up any pieces I want. Now we go to extrude and set those windows in a little bit. So now we've got holes, windows going into the front of the building. So all of these tools working together. Ideally, you've got a goal in mind so you can tell which pieces need to go where, but especially when you're just practicing, feel free to make it up as you go along. Experiment a little bit. Maybe you'll discover things you hadn't expected. Shape tools, I've almost exclusively used the cube tool in this case, and you can see it got me a great variety of things. Feel free to experiment with the other shapes, starting with a sphere, for example. Let's get a good sized sphere here. Even things like teapots, stuff like that, like we did in the earlier lesson. Now we're gonna we'll grab one more sphere. Whoops. Just a very small one. And there's our teapot. Grab these pieces all together. Group. And now we have our tea. So it's a combination of all these tools working together, build up the shapes you want. Now in this case, I should really do these two separate things. Teapot as one model. House is another model, so I can export them and use them separately. Since I'm just practicing tonight, I can have fun with these pieces, try out different things. Once I've got something in mind I want to do, I can start from a clean slate and build it up from whatever pieces I need. I might even save this and use this as a starting point, start adding chimneys and walks and more windows, that type of thing. Have fun. Let us know what you create so that we can offer tips and suggestions on how to use different tools, and you can let us know if there's certain things that you'd like to learn. We do these things every week, so come on back, see what new things we're doing, and leave us requests in the messages. So if you've got ideas, suggestions, questions, we like making shows out of your ideas. Not that we can't come up with them ourselves, but we'd like to know what you want to learn about. Thanks for joining us this week. It was just making pieces with our basic tools. Next time, we're going to get into more complicated shapes and bringing out specific details rather than just generic shapes. Thanks for joining us.